Hello and welcome to my first how-to video, viewers. In this video we'll be looking at how to capture 3DS footage without a capture card. We'll be building a special mount to allow a camera to record off-screen footage. Of course, off-screen footage will not be as high in quality as captured footage, but this mount could be made for about $30, whereas 3D capture cards frequently cost well over $200. To start, you'll need the following items. A piece of wood board about 1 cm thick and about 30 cm by 30 cm, or about 1 foot by 1 foot. A piece of the same board cut to the size of the bottom half of your 3DS, and another piece slightly smaller than that. You will also need a firm plastic cover or case for the bottom of your 3DS. The smallest piece of wood must be able to fit inside the case in terms of height and width, and of course the case and 3DS size piece of wood should match. You'll also need two 2.5 cm long bolts with matching nuts and washers, 1 pack of short self-tapping wood screws with wide flat heads, 1 pack of super and or crazy glue, and some metal bracketing material. I chose to use these conduit clamps as they were already cut to about the right height, but you could also cut larger pieces to any size you prefer. The first thing we're going to do is chamfer the edges of the large and 3DS size boards to make sure everything is smooth and comfortable. I did this with a Dremel tool, but you can also use simple sandpaper to get the job done. Just make sure you don't have any rough edges that could leave you with cuts or splinters, because that's not fun for anyone. It's especially important to pay extra care in smoothing the edges of the 3DS size board, as this will be glued to the 3DS case and be part of the mount which you will actually hold while capturing your footage. The next step is to take a pair of pliers or vice grips and bend the bottom of the brackets into shape so we can start mocking up their placement on the larger board. This allows us to mark the holes we need to drill in order to mount the brackets. It's important to make sure the brackets are positioned directly across from one another in order to get the best results. You'll notice my brackets came with pre-drilled holes, but you might have to drill your own before mocking them into place. With the holes drilled, you can install the brackets loosely to make sure they line up the way you need. You can also fasten the camera bracket, in this case on the left, tightly and begin adjusting the top of the bracket to hold your camera level. This can be double checked by taking your camera's tripod mount and slipping it through the hole in the bracket. Then tighten it to your camera and take a quick photo or video to verify the placement. You'll notice I left the 3DS bracket, in this case on the right, a little loose as it will need to come back off before we're finished. You'll also notice that I've gone ahead and drilled a second hole into this bracket. This is to help better secure the 3DS size piece of wood. The purpose of this second hole is simply to keep the wood from rotating on the bracket, so its placement doesn't need to be exact, but you might want to make it a little more centered than my own. With the 3DS size piece of wood secure, I've gone ahead and adjusted the bracket to approximately the position I'll need it in for the 3DS top screen to face the camera. You can see the screws in the rear of the wood and why it's important to use short screws. You don't want the sharp tips to protrude to the front. Now we're ready to use some sandpaper to rough up the front surface of the 3DS size board and the back surface of the 3DS case. This creates a better surface for the glue to adhere. Clean the surfaces with a damp cloth and let them dry before adding the glue. Once you've applied the glue and have the 3DS case positioned correctly on the board, take the smaller piece of wood and use a clamp or vice grips to hold the case in place until the glue dries. Drying time should be specified on the glue packaging. And there you have it. All you have to do is reattach the 3DS assembly to the base and you're basically ready to go. Your camera will sit on the left bracket and your 3DS will sit snugly in the affixed case. You may need to make some minor adjustments once everything is attached, but otherwise you're ready to capture some off-screen footage. Here it is again in action filming some Mario Kart 7 demo reel footage. You can see how the exact positioning of your brackets will depend on your individual camera and the position of your 3DS screen. And here's what it actually looks like from the camera's perspective while playing. I was a bit hasty in recording this footage, and as you can see, my camera isn't quite level relative to my 3DS top screen, so I had to make some small adjustments in my video editor. But here's the footage rotated and cropped. this is what would actually be used in a video. I recommend shooting a bit wide and cropping in after to make sure you don't accidentally miss anything close to the edges of the screen. Of course, you can see that my brackets were designed for a relatively small camera, but you could install sturdier brackets if you wanted to mount a larger camera like this DSLR. And that's all there is to it. I hope you enjoyed my first how-to video. Don't forget to like this video and share it with your friends, and in the meantime, stay in the zone.